Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about something very important: how to stop learning English and start speaking English. Do you know something? Many people can understand English, but they struggle when it's time to speak. They know the words, they know the grammar, but when they open their mouth, nothing comes out. They freeze, and they don't know what to say. Why is this? Well, one reason is simple. Learning English is not the same as speaking English. You can study books, you can memorize words, and you can watch English movies, but speaking is different. It requires action, confidence, and a willingness to make mistakes. Think about it. You can read and write in English, but can you speak it? What's holding you back? The answer is not more grammar or vocabulary. The answer is practice. Speaking requires you to use what you know. The more you speak, the better you will get. There's a famous quote by Ludwig Wittgenstein: "The limits of my language mean the limits of my world." When you speak, you open up a new world. You can connect with people, share your thoughts, and express yourself in ways that just learning never can. So what can you do to start speaking more? The first thing is simple. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. There's no need to wait until you know every word or understand all the grammar rules. Start now, even if it's just a few sentences. Speak to yourself, speak to a friend, speak to anyone who will listen. One of the best ways to practice speaking is to talk about your day. Talk about what you did, what you saw, what you ate. Even if it's just small talk, it will help you get comfortable with speaking, and over time it will become easier. You don't have to be perfect, but you have to try. The more you speak, the more you'll improve. Don't worry about mistakes. They are a part of learning. Mistakes are a sign that you're trying, and trying is the first step towards success. I hope this inspired you to start speaking more. If you want more tips and practice ideas, check out the video on my channel. You'll find plenty of resources to help you become a better English speaker. Let me know in the comments how you plan to start speaking English more. I'd love to hear your ideas. It's time for the first step. Are you ready? Let's talk about how to get started with speaking English, even if you're a little nervous. Trust me, you can do this. One of the best ways to start is by speaking to yourself. It may sound strange at first, but it's one of the easiest ways to practice without pressure. You don't need anyone else to talk to, you just start speaking. Describe what you're doing, talk about what you see around you. For example, if you're cooking, you can say, "I am chopping vegetables. I am putting the vegetables in the pan." Or if you're walking outside, say, "It's a sunny day. I am walking in the park. I see birds flying by." Doing this, you are practicing speaking in a natural way. You don't need to worry about making mistakes. The key is to speak out loud and use the language as much as possible. It doesn't matter if it's a short sentence or just one word. Speaking will help you become more confident. But what if you feel nervous or embarrassed? It's normal. We all feel nervous sometimes. But remember, the more you speak, the more confident you will become. Think of speaking like a muscle. The more you practice, the stronger it gets. So don't worry about making mistakes. Every time you speak, you're improving, and mistakes are just part of learning. Another great way to practice is through shadowing. Shadowing means listening to someone speaking English and trying to repeat what they say. You can listen to a podcast, an audiobook, or a video, and then repeat the sentences out loud. Don't worry if you can't say everything perfectly. Just try to match the sound, rhythm, and flow of the speaker. Start with simple sentences. Don't jump into long paragraphs just yet. Choose a short, clear sentence and repeat it many times. Say it slowly at first, then try saying it faster as you become more comfortable. Shadowing helps you get used to the sounds of English, and it helps with your pronunciation and fluency. Another simple way to start speaking is by practicing with a language partner. This could be a friend, a family member, or even someone you meet online. If you don't have someone to talk to, don't worry. There are many language exchange websites where you can find people to practice with. You can start with simple conversations. Ask questions like, "How are you?" or "What do you do?" These questions help you get used to speaking and understanding answers. Remember, the goal is not to speak perfectly, but to speak more. Don't focus on the grammar. Don't focus on the vocabulary. Focus on speaking. The more you speak, the better your skills will become. Over time, you'll notice how your confidence grows. You won't feel nervous anymore because you'll be used to speaking. And here's something important. Try to speak every day, even if it's just for a few minutes. Consistency is key. The more often you speak, the more natural it will feel. Set a goal to speak English for at least 10 minutes every day. If you can do more, even better. But start small and then build up little by little. You'll see huge improvements. So, what can you do today? Start speaking. Talk to yourself. Practice shadowing, or find a language partner. Just speak. The more you speak, the better you will get at English. Now that you're speaking more, let's talk about how listening can help you improve your English speaking skills. Listening is just as important as speaking. In fact, listening helps you speak better. You may not realize it, but every time you listen to English, you're improving your speaking skills without even trying. Let's start with the basics. When you listen to someone speaking English, you learn how the language sounds. You pick up on the rhythm, the flow, and the intonation of the language. You learn how words are connected in sentences and how to express emotions through tone. All of this helps you when it's your turn to speak. So, how do you start? One simple way is to listen to English content every day. It doesn't matter if it's a podcast, a song, a YouTube video, or an audiobook. Just make sure it's in English and that it's something you enjoy. If you like music, listen to songs in English and try to understand the lyrics. If you enjoy movies, watch them in English. Start with subtitles in your language if needed, but try to switch to English subtitles as you improve. Listening to native speakers will help you get used to the speed and natural flow of the language. At first, it might feel difficult to understand everything, and that's okay. The more you listen, the easier it will become. When you hear new words, try to guess their meaning from the context. This will help you understand how words are used in real situations. Another great listening practice is shadowing. In the last few minutes, we talked about repeating sentences. Shadowing is like that, but with a twist. Instead of just repeating a sentence, try to match the speaker's tone, pace, and rhythm. Listen carefully and try to sound just like the speaker. Don't worry if you don't get it perfect the first time. Keep practicing, and you'll notice a huge improvement in your speaking. Listening helps you understand the natural flow of conversation. In real-life conversations, people don't speak slowly or repeat themselves. They speak quickly and use contractions like I'm instead of I am. By listening to native speakers, you will start to understand these patterns. This will help you speak more naturally and confidently, just like a native speaker. Listening to different accents and different types of English is also important. English is spoken in many countries, and each place has its own accent and style of speaking. Listening to different accents will help you understand various ways English is spoken. Don't be afraid if you don't understand everything at first. The more you listen, the more you will understand. You can also listen to people speaking in informal situations. For example, listening to conversations in movies or TV shows can help you understand how people speak in everyday life. This kind of listening helps you learn informal phrases and expressions that are used by native speakers. These are the phrases you can use when speaking with friends, family, or anyone in casual situations. But it's not just about listening to words, it's about listening to emotions too. When people speak, they use their voice to show how they feel. They might sound happy, sad, angry, or excited. By listening carefully, you can learn how to use your voice to express emotions when you speak. Remember, listening and speaking are connected. The more you listen, the more you will learn, and the more you learn, the better you will speak. So, make it a habit to listen to English every day, even if it's just for a few minutes. Every little bit helps. And here's a fun tip. Try to listen without looking at subtitles. Sometimes it might be challenging at first, but it will help you improve your listening skills faster. Don't worry if you don't catch every word. Focus on understanding the main idea. One more thing. Make sure to practice listening to different topics. Listen to podcasts or videos on various subjects, whether it's cooking, technology, or travel. You'll learn new words and phrases that you can use in your own conversations. Plus, it's fun to learn about new topics in English. So, what can you do today? Start listening to something in English. Watch a video, listen to a song, or find a podcast. Try to shadow the speaker and pay attention to how they speak. You'll be amazed at how much you learn by just listening. Now that you've started speaking more and listening closely, let's talk about building your vocabulary. The more words you know, the easier it becomes to speak. Vocabulary is like the toolbox for your conversations. The more tools you have, the more you can do with the language. When you start learning English, it can feel overwhelming to remember so many words. But don't worry. You don't have to learn every word in the dictionary. Focus on words that are useful to you. Start with simple words that you can use in everyday conversations. A good way to build vocabulary is by learning words in context. Instead of just memorizing a list of words, try to learn them in sentences. For example, instead of just learning the word food, try learning it in a sentence like, I'm hungry. I want some food. This helps you understand how the word is used in real conversations. One way to learn new words is by reading. Read books, articles, or anything that interests you in English. When you come across a word you don't understand, try to guess its meaning by the context of the sentence. After that, look it up in a dictionary to be sure. Write the word down and try to use it in your own sentences. The more you use a word, the better you'll remember it. You can also learn words by listening. When you watch English TV shows or listen to podcasts, pay attention to the words the speakers use. If you hear a word you don't know, write it down and look it up later. Try to repeat the word out loud so that you can remember it better. One of the best ways to learn vocabulary is to speak it. Every time you learn a new word, try to use it in a conversation. It doesn't matter if you're speaking with someone else or talking to yourself. The more you practice using new words, the more natural it will feel. When you learn a new word, try to learn its different forms. For example, the word happy has a noun form, happiness, and an adjective form, happily. The more forms of a word you know, the more you can use it in different situations. This will help you speak more confidently because you'll have a wider range of words to choose from. Also, try to learn synonyms, words that have the same meaning. For example, instead of always saying good, you can say great, excellent, fantastic, or awesome. Having multiple options helps you sound more fluent and keeps your conversations interesting. And here's something fun. Learn idiomatic expressions. These are phrases that native speakers use that don't always make sense. If you translate them literally, for example, "It's raining cats and dogs" means it's raining a lot. Learning idioms will make your speaking sound more natural and help you understand others better. Don't forget to keep a vocabulary notebook. Write down new words and phrases and review them regularly. This will help you remember the words and give you something to look back on when you need them. You can also use apps to learn vocabulary. There are many apps out there that are designed to help you learn and remember new words. You can use them on your phone while you're on the go so you don't waste any time. Remember, it's not just about learning new words, it's about using them. The more you speak and use the words you've learned, the easier it will be to communicate. Vocabulary is like a bridge that connects you to the language, and the more words you know, the stronger your bridge becomes. And here's an important tip. Don't worry about learning every word at once. Focus on the words that are most useful to you in your daily life. You don't need to know every word in English to speak well. Start with the basics and then add more words as you go. The key is to keep practicing and using new words as much as you can. So, what can you do today? Start by learning 5 new words. Write them down, use them in sentences, and try to speak with them. Keep doing this every day, and soon you'll see how much your vocabulary grows. Let's talk about something that holds many people back from speaking English. Fear. Fear of making mistakes. I know it sounds familiar. You want to speak, but you're afraid of saying something wrong. You worry about being judged or sounding silly. Well, guess what? Everyone makes mistakes. It's part of learning, and it's time to stop letting fear stop you. The truth is, Making mistakes is how you learn. Think about when you first started learning to walk. You fell many times, but did you stop trying? No, you kept going, and eventually, you walked perfectly. Speaking English is just like that. The more you speak, the more you learn from your mistakes, and over time, those mistakes get smaller and smaller. There's a famous quote by Jennifer Lim: "Mistakes are proof that you are trying." So instead of fearing your mistakes, embrace them. They show that you are actively learning and improving. If you never make mistakes, it means you're not trying enough. It's through mistakes that we grow. It's also important to remember that nobody is perfect. Native speakers make mistakes too. No one expects you to speak perfectly. People are just happy that you're trying to communicate. In fact, they'll be impressed by your effort. So stop worrying about being perfect. Focus on speaking, even if it's not flawless. Here's a little secret. The more you speak, the more comfortable you'll get with mistakes. At first, you may feel shy, but soon you'll realize that no one cares if you make an error. They care that you're communicating, and that's the goal: communication. Your aim is not to speak perfectly, but to be understood. If you're still nervous, here's something that might help. Start small. If you're afraid of speaking in front of others, begin by talking to yourself. Speak in the mirror or record yourself speaking. You'll get used to hearing your own voice, and it will help you become more confident. You can also practice with a language partner. Find someone who's patient and understanding. When you practice with someone, you can help each other correct each other's mistakes and build confidence together. But remember, the goal is not to focus on being perfect. Focus on the message you're trying to convey. Another way to overcome the fear is by setting small, achievable goals. For example, set a goal to speak for just 5 minutes each day. As you do this, you'll get more confident, and your fear of making mistakes will start to fade. Gradually increase the time you speak. The more you do it, the less nervous you will feel. Remember, mistakes are not a reflection of your abilities. They're simply stepping stones on your way to success. Think of each mistake as a valuable lesson that helps you improve. Instead of saying, "I made a mistake," say, "I learned something new." That shift in mindset will make all the difference. Let's take a moment and think about this. What if you never spoke because you were afraid of mistakes? You'd never improve. You'd never get better. You'd never experience the joy of speaking freely in English. So, don't let fear hold you back. Step out of your comfort zone and start speaking. A great way to practice without the pressure of judgment is by practicing in low-stress situations. For example, you can practice by speaking with friends who are also learning English. This creates a safe space where you can make mistakes and still feel comfortable. Over time, speaking will feel natural, and you won't even notice the mistakes you make. And here's the key takeaway. Don't be afraid to fail. Failing is just part of the journey. It's not a reason to stop. It's a reason to keep going. Every time you make a mistake, you get one step closer to fluency. And remember, you are not alone in this. Everyone who speaks English as a second language has made mistakes. So keep going, keep speaking, and keep learning. Let's start by embracing your mistakes. They are not failures, they are lessons. You are on the right path, and with each mistake, you are getting closer to becoming a confident English speaker. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments. What is your biggest fear when speaking English? How do you plan to overcome it? Let's support each other on this journey. Keep speaking, and remember, mistakes are just part of the process. Now that you've started speaking to yourself and embracing your mistakes, let's talk about one of the most important parts of learning to speak English: practicing with others. Speaking with other people is the best way to improve your skills. It helps you get used to real conversations, and it's a great way to build confidence. At first, you might feel nervous talking to someone else in English. That's completely normal, but don't let that stop you. Practicing with others is one of the fastest ways to improve, and the more you practice, the more comfortable and confident you'll become. So, who can you practice with? The good news is that you don't need to find a professional teacher or a native speaker right away. You can practice with anyone who is willing to talk to you in English. Our friends, family, classmates, or even strangers online. They can all be helpful practice partners. Look for people who are supportive and patient. These are the people who will encourage you when you make mistakes and help you learn. If you're not sure where to find someone to practice with, there are many language exchange platforms available online. You can connect with people from around the world who want to practice English, and in exchange, you can help them with their language. This is a great way to practice speaking and also make new friends. Start with simple conversations. Don't jump straight into deep or complicated topics. Begin with easy questions like, "How are you?" or "What do you like to do?" These simple questions will help you get comfortable with the flow of conversation and will build your confidence. As you improve, you can move on to more complex topics. It's important to remember that every conversation is an opportunity to learn. Even if you make a mistake, it's okay. The goal is to communicate, not to be perfect. Every time you speak with someone, you're learning something new. Maybe you learn how to pronounce a word better, or maybe you learn a new expression or phrase. All of these small steps add up to big improvements. You can also practice speaking in different situations. For example, try to speak about your hobbies, your job, or your favorite movies. The more topics you practice, the more vocabulary you'll learn, and the more confident you'll feel when you need to speak in real-life situations. Another great way to practice speaking is by joining a conversation group. These are groups where people meet regularly to speak English. Some groups meet in person, while others meet online. Conversation groups are a safe space where everyone is learning together, so you won't feel embarrassed about making mistakes. You'll be able to practice with different people, hear different accents, and learn new phrases. One thing you should try is role-playing. You can pretend you're in different situations, like ordering food in a restaurant, making a phone call, or giving directions. Role-playing helps you prepare for real-life situations. It's a fun and effective way to practice speaking in a controlled environment. Plus, it's less stressful because it's just pretend. The key to improving your speaking skills with others is consistency. Try to practice speaking English every day, even if it's just for a few minutes. The more you practice, the better you'll get. And don't be afraid to make mistakes along the way. Every mistake is a chance to improve. When practicing with others, it's important to listen too. The more you listen to others speaking, the more you'll learn. Pay attention to how they speak, the words they use, and how they form their sentences. This will help you understand how to use English naturally. But what if you don't have anyone to practice with right now? Don't worry. You can still improve your speaking skills. Keep speaking to yourself, listen to English content, and try to mimic what you hear. You can also try recording yourself. Listen to your recordings and see how you can improve. This will help you become more aware of your pronunciation and speaking style. Don't let a lack of speaking partners stop you. The important thing is to keep practicing. Even if you're practicing alone, you are your best teacher. The more you speak, the more your skills will improve. Now go out there and start practicing with someone. Find a friend or a language partner and start talking. And remember, the more you speak, the more you'll grow. Every conversation is a step closer to becoming fluent in English. You've been practicing listening and building your vocabulary. You've even been practicing with others, and now it's time for the next step. Speaking confidently in real-life situations. This can be one of the most challenging parts of learning a language. But don't worry. With practice and the right mindset, you'll soon feel comfortable speaking in any situation. First, let's talk about the importance of confidence. Confidence is the key to speaking English well. You can know all the words, grammar, and vocabulary, but if you're too afraid to speak, it won't matter. Fear can hold you back from saying what you want to say, but here's the truth. There's no need to be afraid. Everyone makes mistakes, even native speakers. And guess what? People are just happy that you're trying to speak English. One way to boost your confidence is to start small. Begin with simple, everyday situations. For example, try ordering food at a restaurant or asking for directions. These are basic situations that you can practice without feeling too nervous. Start with short phrases like, "Could I have a coffee, please?" Or, "How do I get to the train station?" With time, these simple situations will build your confidence, and you'll feel more comfortable speaking in other contexts. If you're nervous, remind yourself that everyone has been in your shoes. Even people who speak English fluently were once beginners. They had to practice just like you. It's all part of the process. The more you speak, the more comfortable you'll become. So don't let fear control you. You have the power to speak confidently. Another great way to build confidence is by preparing in advance. Think about the situations where you might need to speak English. For example, if you're going to a meeting or having a conversation with a colleague, prepare some phrases you can use. Practice them out loud so you feel ready. The more you prepare, the more confident you'll feel when the time comes to speak. But here's the most important thing. Don't try to be perfect. You don't need to speak like a native speaker to be understood. Focus on getting your message across. If you make a mistake, don't worry. People will still understand you, and they'll appreciate your effort. Remember, language is about communication, not perfection. One of the most useful tips for speaking confidently is to slow down. When we're nervous, we tend to speak too quickly, but speaking slowly allows you to think about what you want to say. It gives you time to form your sentences and pronounce your words clearly. So take a deep breath, speak slowly, and focus on the message you want to share. You'll feel more in control and more confident when you take your time. Another way to boost your confidence is by using positive affirmations. These are small, positive statements you say to yourself to remind yourself of your ability to speak English. For example, you can say, "I am a good speaker," or "I can communicate clearly in English." Saying these affirmations every day will help you believe in your ability to speak confidently. It's also important to remember that mistakes are a natural part of the learning process. Don't be afraid of making them. Instead of seeing mistakes as failures, see them as learning opportunities. Every time you make a mistake, you learn something new, and the more mistakes you make, the better you'll get. When you make a mistake, don't apologize too much. Just correct it and keep going. People understand that you're learning, and they won't judge you for making a mistake. They'll be impressed by your effort to speak and communicate in English. And don't forget to celebrate your successes. Every time you speak English, it's a victory. Whether it's having a short conversation, ordering food, or introducing yourself in English, celebrate every step of progress. The more you celebrate your achievements, the more confident you'll feel. In the beginning, speaking English might feel like a challenge, but remember you're not alone. We all feel nervous when we're learning something new, but with practice, patience, and a positive mindset, you'll be able to speak confidently in any situation. The key is to keep going, keep practicing, and keep believing in yourself. You've worked hard to get to this point. You've practiced speaking, overcome your fears, listened carefully, and built your vocabulary. But here's the most important part of learning to speak English: keeping the momentum going. Learning a language is a journey, not a destination. The more you practice, the more fluent you'll become. But to keep improving, you have to make speaking English a part of your daily life. The first step to keeping the momentum is consistency. Speak every day, even if it's just for a few minutes. Consistency is what helps you get better. It's better to practice for 10 minutes every day than to practice for an hour once a week. Make speaking English a habit. Find a time each day that works for you, whether it's in the morning, during lunch, or before bed. Even if it's just talking to yourself or repeating phrases you've learned, make it a daily activity. Another way to keep moving forward is to set new goals. Once you reach a goal, set another one. For example, your first goal might be to speak for 5 minutes every day. Once you reach that, challenge yourself to speak for 10 minutes, then try to have a conversation with someone. Keep setting new challenges for yourself to push your skills further. But remember, don't rush it. Learning takes time, and every small step is progress. You can also make learning fun. The more fun you make it, the easier it will be to keep going. Watch movies in English, listen to songs, read books, or find a topic you enjoy and talk about it in English. Find ways to make learning something you look forward to, not something you have to do. When you enjoy it, it doesn't feel like work. Find ways to surround yourself with English. If you can't be in an English-speaking environment, create your own. Change your phone or computer settings to English, follow English accounts on social media, and listen to English podcasts while commuting. Surrounding yourself with English helps you stay connected to the language even when you're not actively practicing. Another great tip is to keep learning from different sources. Don't just stick to one method of learning. There are so many different ways to improve your speaking skills. You can take online courses, join English-speaking groups, use language apps, or even talk to native speakers. Each method offers something different, and they all help you learn in different ways. The more variety you have in your learning, the more you'll grow. Remember, it's not just about speaking in perfect sentences, it's about communication. You are improving every time you speak, whether it's a short conversation or a long one. And if you ever feel stuck, don't be afraid to go back to the basics. Practice your pronunciation, review vocabulary, or listen to simple conversations. Going back to the basics will help you build a stronger foundation and give you the confidence to keep going. You might face obstacles along the way. Some days you might feel like you're not improving, but trust me, you are. Sometimes progress is slow, but don't let that discourage you. Stay motivated and keep practicing. Every time you practice, you're getting better. It's also important to keep a positive mindset. Celebrate your progress no matter how small it is. Did you speak for 5 minutes today? Great. Did you learn a new word or phrase? Fantastic. The more you celebrate your successes, the more motivated you'll be to keep going. Every small achievement is a step toward fluency. And don't forget to use the resources available to you. If you're looking for more help, don't hesitate to check out the other videos on my channel. I've created many tips and exercises to help you with English speaking, listening, and more. Use these tools to keep improving and stay motivated. Let me know in the comments. How are you going to keep your English practice going? What's one new thing you will try to continue learning? Keep practicing and always remember, the journey to fluency is just as important as the destination. You're on the right path, and I believe in you. Keep speaking and keep improving every day. See you soon. Bye for now.